Hello and welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Eric, joined once again by that one,
Karen. Yeah.
bringing you some more General Hospital 1981, December 23rd to December 31st, finishing out the year. Tell me over the credits and we'll chat. All right. So Lila is pushing Monica to invite Alan for Christmas dinner. Leslie is doing wedding stuff. I guess they're not getting married until New Year's Day or like after New Year's Day. They don't get married in this,
Um,
right?
yeah, they did get married. It's I think they got married in between Christmas and New Year's
Oh, all right.
because it was like
I
one
guess we'll
day.
get to it because I must have,
They
yeah.
were wait,
Yeah, I
but
think,
they're
oh yeah, you're right.
doctors.
Right.
The problem is they're doctors, so like you can't just be like, "Oh, they're not off today. It must be a holiday," but they're doctors, so they're never off.
Yeah, it is pretty quick when they do get married. You're right. Um, so Leslie's doing wedding stuff, blah, blah, blah. Mikey asked Dr. Rick if he will be his son after the wedding tonight.
Oh my god, this kid is so cute.
Doc Rick asked him to
Yeah.
be best man, which is cute.
It was so funny because he was like, "But what's a best man?"
Yeah,
He's so cute. I love him.
yeah, he is adorable. Amy's gonna do her own hair for the wedding. Um, Luke gets stupid with Laura's modeling contract. Probably when you messaged me about how you hated me.
I may or may not have been furious at the moment.
I get it for story reasons, but it's annoying. I get
It's
it.
annoying because they flip-flop Luke's character from like it's almost like Luke has bipolar disorder cuz like one time he's
It is, it's
I
true.
love you, everything's amazing, you're the most beautiful girl in the world, and the next it's
Love
like
bombing.
if you leave the house for 5 minutes you will never love me again. And I'm like get him help immediately.
Right?
Mm.
I don't get it either. Monica sees Rick and she wishes him well, and
Alan gets
um,
jealous.
they kiss while she kisses him, and
Yeah.
Alan sees it.
Yeah.
Bobby's getting ready to leave in all of these episodes, and I'm like, oh, okay, she's gone. Nope, she's still there. Nope, they don't like to leave
No. No,
when.
she didn't. She was supposed to leave after Christmas. So it's like they were like, "Oh, but
Yeah,
Bobby,
it's
you're
like
gonna
Christmas.
go. Oh, but you're gonna go." And Bobby's like, "Yeah, I'm going." And they're like, "Okay,
Still
but you're gonna
going,
go. Okay,
still
bye."
going. But she wasn't
Bye.
around New Year's Eve, and I'm like, okay, is she
No,
really
she's in New
gone?
York. She's in New York.
Yeah, supposedly.
Did
So
her and
Alan,
Laura go to New York together because like they were both going to New York around the same time? Or
I didn't see them go off together, but they
well,
should
no, because
have.
Laura wasn't there when they were doing Luke driving her to the airport. But also, Luke said Laura will meet
Right.
us at the airport, and then I didn't know if that was to see Bobby off or because she was also going to New York because it was very tight on what happened.
Yeah, I don't know. We might have missed, there was some missing scenes, but not too much.
We don't know though.
Um,
We have
I
no idea
put
what we missed.
Bobby and Rudy talk.
Mhm.
Rudy from the Bionic Woman
Dr.
asks
Bradshaw.
she wants to be the head nurse in New York pediatric unit.
Hmm.
She's like, of course.
Yeah, because it
Later.
comes with a huge pay bump.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure.
Monica asks Alan to lunch. Luke is
That
mad at
was cute.
Luke is mad at Robert for giving Laura advice to follow her heart, being a douche again.
Hmm.
The liquor dude comes along, threatens them if they don't buy his booze, they will be sorry.
So tell me why he looked like Inspector Gadget in that outfit.
Yeah, and this guy, he's not Mouse, right? Or is he Mouse?
No, I don't
Or we
think
don't know
so.
who Mouse is.
We don't
All
know
right.
who Mouse is.
They throw him in the water.
That was funny.
It was. Um, and I guess they'll be sorry. I guess we'll
Right.
find
Mhm.
out.
They won't be
Monica
sorry.
asked Alan to Christmas dinner.
Mhm.
Leslie and Rick do lunch. They talk about Mike being a part of their family.
Mhm.
Alice makes the wedding cake. I made note, which was very nice.
Everyone was stealing the icing. They were
Fruitcake.
all into the frosting with their fingers the entire time. It
I'm
was
sure
so
it's like
funny.
homemade. It's probably really good.
Yeah.
Laura says she feels like the mother of the bride and groom. Luke apologizes to Laura for acting a fool.
Rinse, repeat.
I know, seriously, right?
Mm.
It's like seriously every other episode, the same shit. Um, I guess they didn't really know what to write since she was leaving, like to keep her going. I don't know, because it does feel like the same kind of stuff going on.
But I think it could have been the same storyline if he had been supportive and very excited for her to go to New York. I feel like it could have
I
been, it would,
agree.
I feel like it may have even been more poignant if she disappears doing something that they both thought was okay. I think it's worse to have him be against it and then she disappears, like it feels more
Yeah.
dickish.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how it's going to end for them very
Mhm.
soon.
Soon.
Um, it looks like Rick is trying to adopt Mikey, and
Hmm.
it's wedding time. So yeah, it is the wedding. Sorry, it's been a little bit since I watched these, and I totally forgot.
That's my fault. I took forever to get through them.
It's all good.
Real life.
Um, so the next episode, Rick and Leslie are in bed enjoying wedded bliss. So yeah, they got married like that.
Uh
Alice
huh.
brings them breakfast in bed. I
Except
know, I
it's
would have liked a
lunch.
little bit. I would have liked it to be a little bit more um longer of a wedding,
I think
but I guess
because
they
they
couldn't
were
fit it.
together before, this
Yeah,
is like
they
a
didn't want
second
to.
wedding scenario. They just did a house wedding, so it was basically like ceremony party over.
Yeah,
And even
within
still, they
5 minutes.
worked. They worked the entire day of their wedding. Both doctors worked.
I know. Yeah, that was kind of funny.
Yeah, and then they snuck to lunch together so they could talk to each other. And Monica and Alan are of course at lunch at the same time because that's just how soap life works. And they
Hmm.
come by to give congratulations, and
Always awkward.
Alan and Monica look like a couple. Like they look like they belong together, and both at the table are like they were kind of like, "Oh, we're back together. Are they getting back together? Is love in the air?" And it's just kind of like, "No, no,
No.
no."
So I guess Laura's modeling thing is a big deal in Port Charles because it's on the paper in the morning.
It
Um,
makes you feel like
she
Port Charles is a really podunk town in the middle of nowhere.
yeah, she meets with Joe to go over her contracts.
Hmm.
He's basically like it's all or nothing. You either got to it gives them a lot of control over her and stuff, so potentially could be ruin her marriage. Um,
Only
which
if
is why
he's
Luke
if
is
your
obviously
husband's super insecure.
which he is.
Yep.
It's great money though.
It's like a contract
Um,
like 1 to 2 years or whatever for this campaign. Couldn't you
yeah,
just suck it up for the family so you would have money? Because he's always doing weird ventures. She's the only one with gainful employment.
yeah. I guess because
Sorry,
he's not leaving the
we
show,
have
they can't
current
do it.
we have current attitudes, and this is very much 80s attitudes about everything.
Right.
We're modern people watching.
I almost feel like they should have wrote them off together, and that way he could have not had his shitty storyline in '83. But
Well, I
but it wouldn't
mean,
have worked for when she returns and stuff.
but also, are you trying to get Tony Gary to lose his own form of employment?
Yeah, but he was doing his own thing at that time. He had a lot going on in '82 and '83. But he probably had to stay for contract reasons, I'm assuming. He probably wanted to go. Um, Laura hears Tiffany talking shitty.
Tiffany was horrible.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I
Um,
understand that she was jealous, but that she's supposed to be Laura's friend.
yeah,
And
she's not.
she's been so angry about this and sitting on it for months instead of just saying to Laura, "I'm jealous that you got a position first time out of the gate."
But it's good seeing her like this because then in 1993, I get it now.
And
She's
in
the same.
'83 when she's absolutely horrific to Bobby,
Yeah,
you're just and
yeah.
Noah, you're just like, okay, I get it now. She does have this shittier side.
She does have a shittier side,
Yeah, I was surprised at that,
which
to be honest.
rears its ugly head in '93 for the Bobby hearing with Lucas and all that.
And '83 with
Um,
Bobby, Jackie, Noah, that whole scenario.
yeah,
So she's consistent, is what we're saying. Congratulations.
right. Yeah. She just cleaned up her act, I guess, for a few years here and there.
Hmm.
Laura talks to Luke about her decision. She's still not sure. I don't think at this point Luke's mad that she can't make her decision because I guess he feels like he should be the decision and it should be no problem. Um,
I
but
also
it's
feel
something
like
she's
he
always
needs to
wanted.
understand that he's the reason she can't make the decision because she's struggling between whether she should do what her husband wants her to do and what she should do what her heart wants. And that's why I really liked when Robert was basically like, would Luke ask you before he did whatever he wanted to do?
Yeah.
Which was very modern thinking. Good job, Robert.
Yeah. Um, Tiffany goes off on Laura, and she's mad that Laura never even thanked her for the situation. I'm like, "Well, what?
Well, I mean, Tiffany was never happy for her, and she always acted like this was like no big deal and didn't matter. So what was Laura
Right.
supposed to do? Laura was very overwhelmed when they said they were interested in her, and she was very excited. She's young. She's like what, 20 at this point?
Yeah, yeah.
Not even
Yep. Put Miss Star Eyes tears. Tiffany being an ass.
maybe.
She and Laura make up. They do make up later. Well,
Yeah.
I guess Tiffany gets over herself later on.
Yeah.
She does get
Oh, but
cute though.
talk about her outfit though, because isn't that when she walks in looking like Mrs. Claus?
Who, Tiff?
Yeah. She's wearing
Yeah.
basically a big red dress with white fur ruffs, and she just looks like Mrs. Claus. And Robert cannot stop laughing at her.
Yeah. Um, Tiffany says, "Be with Luke for your first Christmas."
Hmm.
Luke and Laura are scared to be with each other. They have a nice conversation. He says he will stand by her once again for the
Rinse,
minute.
repeat. Hmm.
And she's like, "Yeah, can you do me a favor and maybe not shut me out again like you have been?"
She does not.
Um,
She stands on business. She never puts up with his crap for long.
and this is where they exchange gifts. Luke bought the pink dress from Wyndham's for her,
Yeah.
and she got the haunted star flag for him.
And she doesn't think he likes it, and he loves it.
Meanwhile, there's a party at the clinic going on, so I guess it's a Christmas party they're having.
So on the same day, they're doing the Christmas party at the clinic, and then the children's party at the ward in at General Hospital. So everyone is going to the clinic
Right,
first, which is open to the
and then the
neighborhood,
ward.
and then they're going to the ward to do their jobs to do the little Christmas thing they do every year, or they did do every year. I don't know if they do it all the time now.
And I think at the hospital, Noah and Bobby are hanging out together, because I guess she's getting ready to roll, so he's in his feelings now that
Oh
she's
yeah,
leaving.
he super cares about her right now. He has a present for her. He wants to talk to her. He's following her around, and she's just basically, I guess, rolling with it because she's leaving in 5 minutes.
Right.
I was
Um,
aggravated that she even talked to him after they were like, we can't be friends, and then all of a sudden we can be friends. It's only like 3 days later.
were you sad for Scotty? He's feeling very lonely.
Yeah, because I love Scotty.
And Heather's sick, so we did not see her.
Yeah, I think Heather just begged
Um,
off because she was afraid to go because everyone hates her,
Robert makes a
except Amy.
toast. Cheers to friends. Laura, Tiffany, and Luke are around. Because I guess they're getting along by the end of Christmas Eve. You have to
Yeah,
get along for
he says
Christmas.
friendship will get us through everything, which was really
But
nice.
it don't.
No, it doesn't.
um,
She says in
Joe gives
1983.
Joe gives news that Mikey can be adopted.
It
Noah
turns
gives
out
Bobby a
Mikey's mom is
charm.
dead.
Yay!
I
He
guess that's
tells
good news.
her he tells her she changed him, of course,
Hmm.
because she's leaving town now.
Hmm.
I put Jesse's in a dress. 'Cause it's one of the few times she gets out of her nurse uniform.
Poor Jesse.
Pete comes to the party, warning Luke and Laura. Um, and then I have what? I have love and we are a team. That's all I got.
So there's a lot going on, and you really touched on it because Luke and Laura are just vacillating between super happy and in love and angry with one another because this is a big debate back in the day that is starting to happen again, which is stupid. Is that these guys don't want their women to have careers that are more important than them.
Right.
And he feels very insecure that if she goes to New York, she's going to meet somebody else, their marriage isn't going to survive, everything's off. And he hasn't been, Luke has not talked about going to Reno for this divorce for like a month now. But all of a sudden, because it's some way for him to wedge between the job and her, he starts going, "What about our 6 weeks in Reno? What about our divorce?" And she's like,
Right.
"Scotty's not going to do anything. He's over it." And Luke is like, "Oh, what about Reno?" Like he's being
Yeah.
horrible. And then the next minute, it's like he realizes he's being horrible. And then, like you said, he tries to love bomb her. And then they do this like 4 or 5 times in the next couple episodes. And Laura just
Yeah.
keeps saying, I don't know. And then when she gets the contract, she can't discuss the contract with her husband because he's being this way. So then she goes to Joe. And like you said, Joe's like, this is an ironclad contract. It's going to be like, they own you for the duration of this contract. And she goes, what do you think I should do? And Joe's like, you should talk it over with someone you trust. And she thinks
Hmm.
she's going to go talk to her mother and then realizes, if I can't talk to my husband, what the hell kind of marriage do I have? And she
Yep.
goes home to talk to Luke. And then Luke goes, I don't know, baby. It's your decision. Whatever you do, I'll support you. And I'm like, in the last scene you were in, you told her that if she made this
No.
decision, your marriage is over. And like, for me, it feels like Laura just is standing on sand. Like she's not getting anywhere with these conversations. But it's very realistic to how
And Luke
people are.
still doesn't even know what he wants to do. He still doesn't have a
No,
job. So I
no.
guess he's just hoping this boat comes to fruition,
But
working
what
on
if it
that.
doesn't? It's 5 grand a month to
Yeah.
rent the port fees. We know this from earlier. It's 5 grand a month. And if Laura goes out
It's a
on a
lot.
modeling contract and is making mad cash doing modeling, her money can support the boat until it's renovated and ready to go.
Gotta trust your wife,
Right. And
but you
then
don't.
Robert goes crazy. Robert just like as a good friend to Laura, he goes, he would never ask you. He didn't ask you before he started doing all this stuff with the boat. He didn't even talk to you about it. He just said, this is what we're going to do. You had a fight and then you had to discuss it afterwards. He doesn't ask your permission. Why are you asking for his? What do you want to do? And I thought that was amazing. And then Tiffany
Yeah.
was horrible. Like, what kind of friend are you? That was awful.
Right.
And she's
Right.
like, "Oh, you're gonna, oh, don't give me with those uh star eye tears." And it was just like, this is
Yeah.
your friend. You just went through a huge adventure with, and it just seems like Tiffany can't get her career going, and she blames everybody but herself. Why isn't she taking
And
acting classes?
and this is what? This is Tiffany's first year, right? Or was that 80? I can forget.
80, because she was
All
on. I
right, so
think she
she
was
has
on
been
right there,
around
right
for a while.
at the very beginning. Maybe she's. I think it's 80.
I can't remember.
I don't know where
Yeah,
my
I
phone
think
is.
so.
For knowledge for the Google. I don't know where.
Well,
But
I'll start
anyway,
Christmas. When soaps had Christmas
I
day
loved it.
episodes back then. Yeah, I know. Then they started taking them off. Whatever.
No, I watched these out of order because the playlist that we had was out of order.
Yeah.
But Christmas was short.
So yeah, it was a cut episode. It looked like too.
Hmm.
So the children's Christmas party's going on at the hospital. Leslie, Rick, and Mike, Amy, Brian, Claudia, Gail and Lee, Tiffany and Laura, all there. Tiffany and Laura, I think, come as fairies.
Yeah.
Um,
Sugar plum
Bjor
fairies.
Bjor the magician is there again. Quartermain's at dinner.
Hmm.
Edward is hungry. Lila is like, not yet. So Heather's on. Joe sees Heather and fills her in on the party. She's depressed. Luke is an elf. There's a strange man by the elevator when Laura
Oh, right.
feels.
Now the
Hmm.
weird stalker is back, which they dropped for a
Hmm.
minute, and now he's at the hospital, and no one
He's
believes that this
around.
man exists, which is really making me angry for Laura.
Um, Luke kind of does though.
He's worried.
But Laura doesn't even know. Like she thinks she's dreaming it or saying
Well,
things or
because
something.
the first time she brought it up, Luke said you fell asleep and dreamed it. The second time, it was like on the plane. But also, do you remember? Do you know what she says? She says a little later, he has this ring, and whenever I see it, he makes me stare at it, and it makes me sleepy. So I
Yeah,
think
it's like
that's
a
why
third
she
eye.
can't. Yeah, that's why she thinks everything is not real.
Yeah. Alan goes to the queues. Joe,
To
Heather,
set up
and
the train.
Allison. Joe, Heather, and Alice invite Susan with them.
Hmm.
Steve reads the story.
I was really excited to see that actually.
Laura tells Luke she saw the tall dude. They laugh it off.
Hmm.
He wants to find him. And then I still have that Bobby is at the party. So she's still around, even though she
Yeah,
said she's leaving.
because it's
Still there.
Christmas. She was leaving after Christmas.
That's all I got for Christmas.
A couple things. The reindeer was like I think the doctors, like Zach, I think it was Zach and one of the other doctors were in the reindeer, and
Oh, Zach. I always
reindeer
forget his name. Yeah.
that reindeer was the thing of nightmares. What it was a two. You know how people do the two-person horse? It was a two-person
Yeah,
reindeer. But you
yeah.
know how in '80s everything looked really insane and plastic? That's what this
Hmm.
reindeer looked like. So that was freaky deaky. That was like really out there.
Gave you
Otherwise,
nightmares.
it's like we know Tiffany's going to be throwing a New Year's Eve party. Um,
A
Laura leaves.
masquerade party.
Yeah, Laura leaves the party because she gets a weird feeling, and there's a lot more '80s have psychic powers things going on. Like she keeps
Yeah.
sensing things, and we'll get into that later with Luke starting to sense things. And I'm like, is it because they're in love and they're so connected? But it's just weird.
Hmm.
And Steve did do the story, and that was like for me a tradition when I was a kid. I would watch the Christmas episode, and Steve would read the like Jesus and the first day of Christmas, the
Yeah,
Christmas story. So he would do that. So I was really excited to see it again.
yeah.
Alan did it for a while. I don't know if they sometimes they do it. Sometimes Obrecht shows up as the Krampus.
Yeah, Alan did it in the 90s. I don't know if he, yeah, I guess he didn't do it in the 80s because Steve was still around.
Steve was around until the early '90s, I think.
Yeah, 94, I believe. So,
Oh, the year of the turkey
December,
being destroyed the first time.
December 28th, um, heading into the new year, Heather
Hmm.
goes to her doctor, Mr. Angelino.
Dr.
He asks
Katz.
why she lied about being engaged to Joe.
Hmm.
Bobby's still there. Goes to Ruby's. Laura made her decision. She is taking it. Luke takes it pretty well, which I was actually surprised at for now.
For now.
Heather says Joe is going to marry her. He says, "You lying?" They do a role reversal, which was pretty amusing.
So I found that so funny because
It
she's
was
like,
really
well,
funny.
I want to sit at your desk then. I've always wondered what it's like to sit at your desk. And then she starts like messing with his toys and upsetting him because he's a fisherman. And she starts unwinding his reel. And she's like, I think you can fix that and hands it to him. And she just really gets into messing with him hardcore.
I
But
like
he
when he
does.
starts being her, and then she's like, "That's not me."
And he's like,
And
that's
he's
my
like, "Let's
perception
just,"
of you.
and then she does the same thing in
Yeah,
return.
it's very
It's like,
funny.
"Is that what I sound like?"
Yeah, it was
It
charming,
is.
actually.
It
I liked
was.
it a
It
lot.
was funny. Yeah, so she doesn't like how he perceives her.
Hmm.
Um, Bobby says her goodbyes to the staff. Laura tells Luke she's going tomorrow. She wants
Hmm.
to start ASAP, and they fight again. This is where he brings up Reno,
Hmm.
all that stuff.
What about our
She's like,
divorce
God,
we
you're
haven't talked about in a
crazy.
month or two? What
I
about that
know.
plan we didn't actually have, but we thought about one time?
Yeah, Luke's mad about it. He goes to see Bobby because she's still leaving. Steve is leaving for a convention.
Hmm.
I thought that was gonna lead somewhere, but I guess maybe he's just taking time off. I'm not really sure.
We don't know yet.
And
We don't know yet because he's
Ru
still gone as of the last episode we saw.
and he put Rudy in charge while he's gone. So I guess
Dr.
that's why Rudy's
Bradshaw.
there. Ruby has a pain and goes down. I don't know what's going on with her.
I do.
Um, Whatever. Rudy checks her out.
Dr.
Um,
Bradshaw.
Ruby says, "Tell Bobby it's gas." Rudy says Ruby is fine. Bobby and Luke worry, of course. And she's like, "No, I'm not going to go." And she's trying to change her mind and all that stuff.
Well,
But
they
she
do
wants to be
start
there for
with
Rudy.
Ruby eating all of these chocolates before she gets the stomach ache. So Ruby chalks it up to I ate too much crap for Christmas. It's just
Yeah.
indigestion. And Dr. Bradshaw doesn't want to lie for her, but says if I lie for you, if I say you're fine, which you could be, but you're not, will you come in for a battery of tests? And she's like, yeah, I'll come in for the
Yeah.
tests. But you can't tell them there's anything wrong because then Bobby won't leave for her new job. And that's what she needs to do. So Ruby covers up a medical issue because she's afraid, and she's right, that Bobby and Luke won't leave her alone because they're basically
Yeah.
each other's only family.
And Bobby tells Luke to make it up to Laura tonight. Luke
Hmm.
apologizes.
Again.
Um, she says, "Give me 2 months, and see how things go at that point, whatever." Even though I feel like if you're signing a contract, you're probably signing like a year, right? Not just a
It
couple
depends
months.
on what the contract is. If the contract's for a campaign, it could be 6 months to a year. It could be 3 years.
Yeah. Anne and Heather have words. She
Yes.
says she changed. Of course, Anne does not believe that. And then Bobby leaves, I think. I put Bobby leaves. I can't remember if
Bobby
she did in the
leaves.
next
She
one or not.
did.
Did she officially leave?
Yeah, because Luke was driving her to the airport, and
And there
that
was
was the end of
nothing.
that.
Nobody ever leaves.
She'll be back. You'll all be
She'll be
back.
back. December 29th. Dude wants Scotty to work as legal assistant for him. I don't know who the dude is.
So this is the guy we talked to a long time ago. He's the head of um, a kind of a corrupt corporation. He's kind of mob adjacent. He's the one that owns the warehouse where they want to build the sports center.
This isn't the booze guy.
No, this is the sports
Okay.
center.
Oh,
Durnley.
right, right.
His name's Durnley. He
The
wants to
mob guy?
change. Yeah, he wants to change the
Oh,
contract for Rick Weber, the one they signed that was like the cheapy lease. He wants to
right.
change it so that they do all these improvements and upgrades to the building, and then somehow he gets the building back. And Scotty told him basically to go pound sand until he said, "Yeah, but your friends are involved. It's the Webbers." And then he takes the job because getting revenge on Laura is still something that Scotty thinks is fun.
We have a creep lurking around Laura. Continuing.
Creeper.
Dude wants Weber to sign something. I didn't know what that was about.
It's the new lease contract
Was
for
that
the.
the least?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um,
It's to screw them. That's
what?
your notes have gone
Oh,
crazy.
the gas. There's the gas release and making Robert and Luke tired.
So this was awesome. Everyone in town is saying, do not mess with these liquor people. They are the mob. Pay for the cases, shut your mouth, move on. Rose tells them, like everybody tells them. Rose is like, these are
Yep.
bad guys, and everybody who doesn't do what they want, they die. And Luke and
Yeah.
Robert are like, whatever, but we're different. And they threw that guy in the water, the guy who was in the big trench coat. He showed
Thinking
up
that
at
would
the
get rid of
yeah,
them.
he showed up at the clinic party because it was an open party and was threatening them in
Oh,
front of
right, right.
people.
Well,
So
he
they were
wasn't. He just like came in, didn't he, and get like a drink just to make his presence known. I feel
right. Yeah. So he was being intimidating again.
like. Right.
And Rose is like, that's such Pete from whatever gang or mob it is. And he's like, you don't want to mess with them. And Lucas and
Mm.
Robert is like, is this Frank Smith adjacent? And then Laura asks Luke later, is this Frank Smith adjacent? And he's like, I don't think so. I don't know. I don't care. And so when they come in the room, they were doing renovations and they went out and they came back. There's a propane tank in the middle of the room, which would have been for the stoves, so it should have gone down below. And it's open, but they don't know it's open. And they're making jokes because Robert is like, did you order this? And he's like, no, it doesn't go with the Christmas decor. And then they're talking to each other and joking around about renovations. And they suddenly start yawning and getting more and more exhausted. And it's
Yep.
sillier and sillier because, like, Robert and Luke are funny when they're together. They just kind of like quip and banter the entire time. Fun stuff. And they just start to pass out because it's so exhausting. And they luck out because the boys, Jeremy and Mike, wanted to talk
Yeah.
to them and they came by and banged on the door, but they couldn't get in. But that woke Luke up enough to realize what was happening. but they still couldn't get out of the room. Funny though is when he was trying to wake up Robert and he basically crawled over him. And I was cracking up because he literally just crawled over him like that and then went to the door and couldn't get the door open. And then this is a clipped episode. There's a couple scenes missing because it seems like
Oh, I thought
Emma.
that was the next one. I thought that was the next episode.
No, because
Yeah.
like it ends there, but then like they're already freed, like because they're laying dead on the floor basically. And then in the next episode, they're walking around and they had gotten out. And apparently Emma had come and
Oh, well,
opened the door.
the next one I have is a partial episode, so
So
maybe
we
that's
missed the
where.
beginning of that. But
Yeah,
like at the end of the episode, it was great. Or first half or whatever. They were laying on the ground like just out and they're
right.
playing the crazy fun music. And it's like they're dead.
So Laura's at her shoot and Delphine is back, and
I
she
love
helps
Delphine.
her through it. I know what Luke call her? Delphine? I think
That's what Tiff calls her. She calls her
Luke
Delphina to annoy her, and Luke
Luke does
calls
too.
her all kinds of things, but he calls her Delphin,
Yeah.
Delphine.
Delphina and Dude sing Laura a song while the creep watches.
Hmm.
Scotty asks Luke how Laura is. Never been better. Emma wants to see Luke's boat. They want her help with something.
So she came to the boat to talk to them and found out they were trapped inside. We get this from the
I
dialogue.
forgot who Emma was. I was like, who the hell's Emma? What
The
I
blonde
got?
girl. She's married to
I know,
Charlie,
I
who
know,
we
I know,
never
I know,
see.
I know. Right.
So they got them out of the room, and I guess they didn't tell anybody what
Yeah.
happened. So then Luke explains what happened, and he says to Emma, "We need to know where to get alcohol." So on the sly. And Emma's like, "Okay, I'll go ask Charlie." And they're like, "Well, go ask Charlie carefully because we want to do this on the sly." And then they also go to Benny, the fence, to do the same thing. Try and get to, and everyone starts talking about the mouse.
Yeah.
Who is
The
this
mouse,
person?
which I guess
Who's the
it's
mouse?
heading into the new year.
Hmm. Yeah, it's new storyline.
Um, yeah. Laura sees the dude again
Hmm.
and a ring, and it's hypnotizing, perhaps.
She says it's a large sapphire, and when he moves it to above the center of his forehead like a third eye. And then when she looks at it, she gets sleepy. So it feels like
Yeah.
hypnotism to me.
Rick and Brian talk Sports Center. Scotty gives him a paper about the deal. Laura fills Luke in on the creep dude, the third eye, and he wants her home, like immediately.
Well, he's scared because she's
Yeah.
far away and doesn't know. But it's funny because she called Luke because she thought there was something wrong with Luke. So I guess she sensed the whole them almost dying in the room thing.
Right.
And then when he was
Yeah.
talking to her, he's like, she didn't want to tell him about the guy. And then he's like, I know there's something wrong with you. Now, whether or not they can hear things in each other's voices or they have psychic powers, I don't know. It's the 80s.
He never told her about that though, right?
He didn't.
Again.
He said he was fine and nothing happened.
Yeah.
I think he tells her later when she comes home.
Okay.
Because
I didn't remember him mentioning that.
she makes him tell everything about it because she doesn't want to talk about New York.
So yeah, December 30th is a partial episode. I think is that the one that's all Robert?
So
I think
it's
it
all
might
the
be.
Robert scenes, which is fine by me. I love Tristan Rogers. So if we're just gonna
So
watch
yeah,
Robert for 10 minutes, I'm down. And it's
this is
just
where
mostly goes to
Robert
Benny.
goes to Benny to ask about the
Benny the
booze.
fence.
The
Hmm.
mouse, a mobster, is in charge. Emma tells Robert about Mouse. Joe
Everyone
knows
does.
of him too.
So does Rose.
Benny tries to sell Robert a gun. Luke disappeared. He calls Robert, but there's a bad connection. Robert gets to um, the boat. Luke and Laura's picture is broken. That's all I got for that. It was only
So
like 9 minutes.
I know, but Robert goes to Benny and gets the information. But what happens is when no one knows where Luke went, and everybody's worried about this mouse guy, and he apparently leaves mouse traps wherever, like that's his calling card. So
It's fun.
Luke calls, and he's basically like, "I'm behind the Chinese laundromat," which is a crazy thing to say, but I guess. And he goes, "I'll meet you at the boat in 10 minutes." Robert goes to the boat. Everything's smashed up. The wedding picture of Luke and Laura is on the ground, smashed with a mouse trap on it. So now Robert is panicking because he knows that Luke is definitely missing. And that's it.
I wonder what else happened in that episode. Doesn't feel
According to
like we
Luke,
missed a ton.
I know, but according to Luke, he followed people around all day. Like he found out who the mouse was right away, or his people, and he was in the back of a car. And so I'm wondering if we missed some exterior shots of Luke going crazy and running around crazy.
Yeah, maybe some Laura stuff, and I don't know.
Some maybe some of the other characters that
Probably.
are on the show.
Yeah, 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 right. Maybe the
Mm.
Quartermain. Um, and then we're on New Year's Eve. Tiffany's party time.
Tiffany has decided to
Um,
throw a costume party on New Year's Eve. This is not difficult for people to get together.
very last minute, and yeah,
Mm.
she pulls it off, of course.
Yeah.
Anne and Amy are funny in this one, trying to find costumes since they're getting off work at 11 now. So,
Yeah,
they
and
have
they
the
roped
last minute
Stacy
trying to
into
find
it.
costumes.
Remember, Stacy's the one that
Well,
was giving Noah massages.
right. Um, Noah and Dude talk New Year's Eve costume party. That's the
Zach.
what's his name? Zach,
Zach.
yeah. I'll never
Yeah.
remember him because Zach isn't even gonna be around next month.
I don't know. He's just like generic blonde guy number five. Shame
Right.
for him, but yeah, his name's Zach.
Tiffany's getting ready. Delphina comes. Luke didn't pick Laura up when he was supposed to, which might have been part of that last episode that we didn't see.
Well, he had
We
been
probably
kidnapped, or they
we
think
might have
he's kidnapped.
yeah, but we might have seen him. We might have seen that stuff, but we didn't,
We didn't. We don't know.
sadly. Robert says to Laura, Luke kidnapped. Did the mouse do it? Frank Smith, they mention. Luke comes in. He got locked in a warehouse with
Overnight, yeah.
booze. So, yeah, that's probably what happened. And they probably showed that stuff, but we didn't.
Yeah, because according to Luke, he followed him to 2 or 3 locations and then he grabbed onto the bumper and basically went for a ride and then hid under the car
Yeah.
and then was in a warehouse. And if he just tells the story, I'm sure it saves a lot of money on production, but I'm pretty sure that probably happened and we probably watched all of that
Yeah,
happen.
probably, yeah.
The important thing
Um,
is like Laura was at the airport, nobody came to pick her up. And when Delphina goes to Tiffany's, she says that Laura didn't spend the night in the hotel. She spent the night at her house because she was too freaked out about the guy with the ring. And
right.
she just basically tells Tiffany that she thinks Laura is too country bumpkin for New York,
Yeah.
which she kind of
Um,
is. She doesn't look very professional on that set. Nobody's trained her or told
no,
her anything. They're just kind of, and then they had to like
doing
make up motivational stories and stuff. I don't know if Laura would have been that good of
it.
a model. I mean, she's
Yeah, probably not.
gorgeous, but
Right.
that's modeling is not just being pretty.
Yeah. The girls talk about Ruby still not feeling good. Leslie, I think, suggests to them to be the Macbeth witches, Amy and Anne, which
And
was fun.
Stacy.
Laura brings up the creep staring at her. She's like, was it a dream? She's being followed. Um, Laura talks about the dude's ring being hypnotizing. It's like the third eye.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Tiffany's party time. Laura tells Leslie about the creep. Um, Robert worries about the mice that come in. There's the three
Mm-hmm. 3
mice,
blind mice.
which
Yeah.
I guess we're thinking about. That I guess maybe they're mouse related. I'm not sure.
It's because okay, so you know that they couldn't get costumes. Stacy and Amy couldn't
Right.
get costumes. And then costumes magically show up at the hospital and they're the 3 blind mice
Oh,
outfits.
is that what it was? I missed
Mhm.
that.
So we're assuming, I'm
I was falling
assuming
asleep
that
during the last one.
whoever the mouse is sent those costumes because then they would think it was the mouse at the party. So it is a message. They're right.
So
It
it
is
is
a
them.
message.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah. Because
Yeah,
remember,
I
they were going to
totally
do the
missed
Three
that.
Little Pigs at one point, and they couldn't get the
Yes,
costumes in
but
time.
they, what else they called, and there was like leftover turkey costume, and there was like some Christmas Santa
Brian
costume.
was hilarious. Brian was cracking me
Yeah,
up because he was saying, well,
he
why
was
don't you just
funny.
wait till Easter and then y'all could be bunnies?
Easter
and,
bunny.
and then what she said, well, Anne said, at this rate, we're going to be wearing nothing. And Brian got a mock shocked face And he's like, I'd love to see that. And then they realize what they said and they're like, nah. Ryan
Yeah,
was silly.
Laura's a harem girl, and Luke is Sinbad the whatever sailor.
Okay, so he was a Swami and she was a gypsy, and it was incredibly problematic because I think they both had the face paint on that made them a little more tan than they should have been. So that
Yeah,
was, I was a little like, I was like, oh yeah, that's right, it's the 80s. Horrible.
Delphina was the Virgin Queen, Betty Davis.
Can I ask you a question?
Hmm.
Was Leslie Madam from the Solid Gold Dancers? Is that why she was all in
I
gold
don't
lame?
know.
Because
I don't know.
she was all in gold lame and she was just shooting attitude everywhere. And I'm like, are you the puppet madam from the Solid Gold Dancers? Is that what's happening?
I wonder
I
if she was. I don't know how far Solid Gold goes back.
don't know. I'm gonna look into it though.
Yeah,
I need to
find out
know.
for the next one.
I watched it late last night, so like I didn't get a chance to do my, deep diving.
Right. Um, I think that's pretty much all I have. Oh, and then at the end, Laura thinks that she sees the creeper guy, but it's like the
Another
Dr. Martin
doctor.
Lester. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I was at your wedding and everything. And she's like, oh, sorry.
Well, they also freak out about the mice and then realize it's Amy and the other girls. So there's a lot of stress at this party. And also, Robert has always been a cranky old man
Yeah,
because he goes to
true.
that party and he's wearing a cute white cable knit sweater and he's exhausted after the whole almost dying thing. And they're just like, we want to dress you as a pirate. And he's like, I'm not going to be dressed as a pirate. And I think I wrote his line down because Delphina says to him that if his pirate costume doesn't basically fit his ass, that she's there to nip and tuck his rear. And he says, I'll be damned if you nip and tuck anywhere near my rear. And it was
Right.
really funny. And he's like, and I'm not being any stupid pirate. And then, of course, cutscene to him dressed as a pirate because Tiffany always gets her
Hmm.
way. But it was funny
Of
because
course.
he is like old man who yells at cloud at like
Yes.
30. So it's very funny.
Yeah. So yeah, there were some fun episodes. I'm excited to see the beginning of 1982.
Hmm.
Um,
That
as we
party
already
looked
saw, I
rocking.
think. Yeah, it did.
It did.
What
I
was
would have liked to have
Tiffany
gone there.
supposed to be? I forget. Oh, she was a wench.
He was a wench because Robert was a pirate.
Robert was a pirate, right? Because he
Hmm.
didn't want to be anything. Because he was
He
the
wanted to
crotchety
be
old man.
asleep. And
Exactly.
this party must have started at 10 o'clock because the girls were there
Right.
pretty quickly and they said they got off work at 11. So this party went
Yeah,
from probably like 10 o'clock to 4 in the morning, the way they were rocking out.
probably. Yeah.
What do you think
Where was
about
the
this
party
whole?
at?
I don't. Is that the penthouse? Because it
Oh,
looked big.
maybe. It
Is
did
it?
look big.
It wasn't at the
Uh,
boat because the boat's a mess.
yeah, I guess it was the penthouse. It just looked different because
That's
it was
because they
big.
pulled the cameras back, and like
Yeah,
just used the sound stage, but it was packed. It looked rocking. Audrey
yeah.
didn't go because Steve was away. She said, "I'm gonna go home and go to bed. That's what I'm wearing is my pajamas." And I was like, "Yeah, solid. I feel that." And who else?
Yeah,
Rick couldn't be there because Rick got caught in a surgery because being a doctor is tough sometimes.
yeah.
I guess he just wasn't available
Um,
that day.
so we're done with Bobby for a year. She'll be back in
Yeah,
December
Bobby will
of
be back.
82,
And
which we saw.
we're gonna lose Laura soon.
It was in a month. Oh, Jackie will be on the next batch of episodes. Jackie comes.
So
And
Jackie's
I guess
arriving. I mean, more
Jackie
time.
arrives. She's January 2nd, I believe. And then we have oh, I don't know when new Laura starts. Is that when after I guess that is after other Laura leaves. I'm
Yes.
guessing.
She comes
Okay.
on basically as a replacement character. They even named her Laura, which was weird.
Really
Um,
weird. Like
and she
who thought that
never,
was a good idea?
I don't know, she seemed like a sweet girl, but there never seemed to be any plot for her. She was just kind of there.
Hmm.
And I think they meant
She
her
was
for
involved with
Scotty.
Blackie. She was involved with
Scotty.
Scotty as his secretary.
Never involved with Luke, which, you know,
No, which
but it
is
was
fine. You
weird.
don't want to put anybody right with them either.
I don't know. I feel like if they were like the greatest love of all, like they've always built them to be, I would think after Laura was gone that Luke wouldn't date again, like for a long time. And then obviously we know Holly comes. But
Well, that's and he gets more like obsessed with Holly in a way. He don't. I don't think he really like is in
I
love.
don't think he
Well,
ever loved
well,
Holly. I think you're right. I think he
no.
transferred all his feelings for Laura onto the
Yeah,
next
I
nearest
agree with that.
compatible woman. And it's
She
upsetting.
was mysterious. She was
Mhm.
alone in the woods, and he was just like, or in the wherever they were, a lake.
Yeah, he became
And yeah,
infatuated. And I don't think he
yeah,
ever really knew who she was as a person.
right.
So I don't know. I'm not. I don't get behind that. I'm more of a Robert Holly fan, um, because I feel like they actually worked for their relationship,
Mm,
and I feel like Luke just kind of she was there to be eye candy for Luke. She was basically almost a honey trap for him that he fell for, and then he just acted the way he does, like possessive and weird.
I'm still not into Robert and Holly. They still have to earn me. They have to.
That's
I
fair.
feel like I just, I don't know. I just don't feel like they do much. Wait, I
They're
mean,
not much of a team because in the future, like he's
yeah.
working as police commissioner and he keeps shutting her out. So they're gonna have to work through that for you to be like 100% on board with their
And this
relationship
is, what are we in? I think we're in August of 83.
in the future. We do watch for fun as well.
Yes, we watch for fun.
We watch a lot of stuff for fun.
We're in many years of General Hospital.
I know. It's like the time traveler's wife. We're hopping from General Hospital to General Hospital era. It's
Right,
crazy. It's crazy.
it is. But anything else to add on these episodes?
I think I'm really appreciate Robert in these episodes. He's a good friend. He's a cranky old man.
Mm,
He's very
mm,
violent sometimes. He was shaking Benny. Benny didn't deserve that. But I also really appreciated him standing up for Laura because that proves that he's not just Luke's friend. He's also
right,
Laura's friend. And I appreciate that for the time because, there's that weird attitude that like men and women can't be friends sometimes. And Robert blows
yeah,
that out of the water because Robert is like, I am your friend, I am his friend, and here's what I think you should do. And I really respected that.
yeah. Um, when does Blackie come? I guess he comes soon too, I would think. Because he was on
I
when we
don't
started
really
watching in
remember.
82.
He has to because like he's going to be involved with the sports center.
Yeah,
Um, and then we
so he'll
have
probably come
there's
soon
a
too.
boxer that Amy gets involved with. I think his name's Joe.
Oh,
Um,
right.
so there's a lot coming. We've got. I feel sad
Yeah.
sometimes because when they did Rick and Leslie's wedding, and Amy was all dressed up and excited about the wedding, and it's like Amy Vining. I don't think she ever married anybody. She was just
Mm,
single for the entirety
yeah.
of the series, and it's like I think after Joe, I don't even remember her dating unless it was like casual because I don't remember it. And she was
Yeah, I
really the
don't
romantic.
remember.
Yeah. It sucks. That's how it happens in real life too. If you're the romantic, you're the one that ends up alone.
Yeah.
And all your friends are just settling for whoever came in. And you're like, no,
Yeah,
must have greatest love of all.
which is, I guess, why that's probably her biggest love is the one that she gets into in the next 6 months.
I'm I'm interested to see that because I don't recall ever seeing Amy in love, and I'm very fond of Amy. Like when
Yeah.
they replaced Amy with the new Amy in the future, I thought that was a bad idea because the love you feel for one character doesn't automatically translate just because you gave them the same name.
Right. Yeah. I get what they were trying to do.
Me
Like,
too.
it's obviously not replacing Amy, but it still was not a good idea. She
It
could have
kind of
been,
was overtly replacing Amy in the beginning because they brought on a blonde to work at the hospital desk who was gossipy, but it just
uh,
never worked because no
it was
one's Amy
supposed to be an
Vining,
homage. It was supposed to be an homage to Amy,
but
but
it
it didn't come
irritated
across
everyone.
like that.
Yeah.
Right.
She did eventually, like once they let the new character, the new Amy, like once they let her have her own personality. Obviously, I never blame the
Yeah.
actor for this, but once let her
No.
have her own personality, she became much more likable.
Yeah.
Um, but when she first started, it was like, "Hi, I'm a bad version of Amy Vining," and like that was, I'm supposed to be an homage, but now everyone hates me, and I think that's kind of how it comes
Right.
across.
It does kind of,
Yeah, which
yeah.
sucks for her because that's not fair to her that she was brought on for that role. But Amy Vining,
Right.
I just think that Shelley was a one of a kind person, and you can't just replace that with any random person. I don't. It just doesn't
No,
work. You
she
can't. That's
definitely
like
was.
Bobby. You can't replace Jackie Zeman. There's no way to do that.
Yeah. There's not another Shell Kepler, and there's not another Jackie Zeman.
No. There
But all
really
right,
isn't.
we'll wrap this episode up. Join our Patreon if you're interested in watching some prime time soaps. We're covering
Also, we do,
90210.
yeah.
We're doing Point Pleasant. We have also a daytime tier, which Karen does something there, right? With the daytime
Derek and I
tier.
do predictions, castings coming and going, and we toss out wild theories. And we would love to have your wild theories to help us out. We go crazy, like we go
And
deep diving into
soon,
history and just throwing stuff out.
and soon, Angel and I will have an exclusive Bold and the Beautiful recap and all of that stuff as well on our Patreon only. We also do As the World Turns is on there, live watches of that, Days of Our Lives, many other soaps. Um, and subscribe, like, and comment. Let us know what you think of everything, what you're interested in. Let us know something. Did you watch Luke and Laura? Did you like them? Tell us.
I I do like them.
No, you don't. You don't
I
like
do.
Luke.
I no, I like Luke. I don't like that the writers sometimes make Luke act wildly out of character.
All right, well, have a good day, everyone. Bye, guys.